Hey guys, welcome back. I'm using this dark stone. It's actually going to change quite a bit. I just showed you how dark it's going to get with water. So just so you know, it's going to change a lot at the end. It's not going to stay the same gray color that it is right now, but don't be confused. If you want to see what color your rock's going to be once you seal it, put a little bit of water on it and that will tell you. So as promised, April's birth flower is not only sweet peas, but daisies. I might even have daisies in my tutorial list already, or a version of a daisy. But these ones are just going to be white ones, beautiful ones. I used a sponge, two different sizes of sponges actually, to sponge on the center part. And because my rock is so dark, I have to start with a real, like maybe 2-3 coats of white. So I'm doing this really, really quick. I didn't sketch it on first or anything. And the smaller ones are sitting behind the bigger one. So I'm trying to make sure that I paint those petals over top. And fix them once I have the smaller daisies behind all sketched in there with paint. And I just have to make sure that I fix some of my petals afterwards on the bigger one so it still looks like it's sitting out in front. The bigger one is taking over, wants to be the center of attention. So I'm using a paintbrush, and guys, I'm not worried about brush strokes in my petals. I'm worried about the brush strokes in the center. So I'll be sponging on the center or using a blending brush in the center, but keep those paint strokes on the petals. So I've done 3 coats of white, and now I've let the white dry. I'm letting the white dry right now. And now I've mixed a little bit of moon yellow with a little bit of maple. And I'm going to keep going back and forth. This is a mixture of the 2 colors right now, and I'm sponging it on, but I'm also going to go in directly with maple brown in some areas and directly with moon yellow. So I'm going to start with moon yellow and a small blending brush. And I'm going to go not quite to the outer edge, not quite. I'm going to lighten up a ring close to the edge. I want to leave the center darker, but I will be going back in there with maple and changing that. So I just want to lighten up as much as possible, and I am using little tiny sponges from Martha Stewart, which some people can't find anymore. They're little sponge daubers, or you could use a blending brush. And my tutorial for my blending brush, as well as my fine lining brush, will always be in the description of every video. So I'm going around the outside again, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out what will look the closest to a daisy, the center of a daisy. So I want to kind of keep that dark horseshoe in the center of it. So I'm going to keep blending. I'm using a different sized blending brush now. It's a little bit bigger than the one that I was just using, but I'm trying to lighten that center again and then bring that maple colored horseshoe. So it kind of looks like a daisy, guys. Sit back and take a look at it. It might help. Blink your eyes a couple times. It might resemble a daisy. Just a little tip from me. If you squint your eyes, everything looks really nice. Looks way better. But yeah, so I'm just going to keep working on the centers. I am going to have to fix some of my petals again, like I'm doing now. Just make sure that you can't see through any of your petals. Do as many coats as you need to, depending on how dark your rock is, and it will darken more. So you got to make sure with these white daisies that you have lots of coats on there. Now I'm just fixing some of the petals closer to the center, but I will be going back in with a little blending brush and some maple colored maple brown and darken that outer ring right near the petals there. You'll see it all happen. And I apologize if my nails change multiple times throughout a tutorial. I have always been a nail painter. I've always been obsessed with nail polish and color and funky designs and all that stuff. So my nails are always different. And sometimes it takes me a week before I can put a tutorial up, and I've had to stop it and start it a few times, and my nails are different every time. So if you notice, just know it's a passion of mine. It's been around long before I started painting rocks. I will be showing you some older versions of my rocks in this tutorial, just to kind of show you where I started out and where I am now. I thought it would be fun to share that with you, just so you know there's such thing as progress. Now, I've taken my blending brush and I went around the outside of each center part with a little bit of maple brown, just to kind of like blend it in a little bit and get rid of the sharp pieces of white at the very edge of the yellow. So that was important for me to do, but then also to outline all of my petals, because I have to separate them from one another. So this is a long process, outlining it all and then kind of going in with white and fixing everything, which is what I'm doing now, because some of my black outlines were really thick. So when my black was dry, always wait till it's dry and then go in and work on anything that you made too thick. So I've done that. Everything's been thinned out properly the way I wanted it to. I didn't want my black outline to be too thick. This dark is gonna go rock. This rock is gonna go dark. It might have been a long day. And so yeah, I'm just wanting to keep those petals separated, mainly the ones that are on top of each other. I wanted to separate those. So now for some leaves, we're just going to make this really simple. I'm just going to do a couple of leaves coming out from each one of the flowers, just a couple here and there. I'm just going to be random with it. And I'm starting with like a really dark thicket green. I'm going to go in with some bright green afterwards to make some lines, because when I look at daisy leaves, I kind of see like lighter green lines. So take a look at pictures on Google of daisies or bouquets of daisies, and take a look at the leaves, and you do what you want with them. You might not have the same shape or size of rock or color of rock, and that's okay. You have more room around your daisies. You do what you want. You can do some stems. You can put some sprigs of lavender in there too if you want to. It's completely up to you what you do with it. So I'm just going with the shape of my rock here, and I'm throwing in a couple leaves here and there, and I'm just using the paintbrush, no sponge at this time. I don't mind the brush strokes when it's on leaves and petals for some reason. I like that texture. It's fine. So now I'm going to use some bright green, and I'm basically just going to work at the tip of the leaf and work up towards the center of the leaf. You can't really see what I'm doing right now because sometimes I get lost in my work and don't pay attention to what the camera can see. But now you can see it. I did outline the lighter green around the edges, and I'm just kind of like putting some lines there that go down to the tip of the leaf. So that's what I'm doing. It's hard to tell. There is a difference here in front of me. It might not be that noticeable on the video camera, but hopefully once it's been resin, you'll be able to see that that texture that I'm putting on the ends of the leaves. So I want to keep the upper part of the leaf close to the flower. I want to keep that nice dark thicket green. So I might work in some thicket green, pull that down towards the bright green if I've put too much bright green. But just keep working it back and forth until you have like what looks like textured lines on the end of your leaves, or do whatever you want. How about that? That's what's fun about art. You do what you want. You do what you feel good about, what you think is beautiful. It's totally up to you. And honestly, just have fun. That's all that matters. Just have fun with it. So I'm just doing the same thing with every leaf, and then I will be outlining my leaves with gold. I'm gonna keep the gold away. I'm not gonna outline everything in gold like I usually do, but you know it's killing me, right? You know it's killing me. The next one I'll have way more gold. The next one is almost ready to come out as well. So stay tuned. Yeah, so I'm still working on these leaves. Nothing's going to change there, but I am going to outline them in gold, and I'm going to be adding a little bit of watercolor because you guys know I'm obsessed with the metallic and color shifting watercolors. It looks so pretty on its own, but it also really fancies up plain old acrylic paint. So I'm going to fancy up these daisies with a little bit of metallic watercolor once everything is dry, of course. I don't want to wreck anything with water. One trick though, do not use too much water when you're working on top of acrylic paint. Be careful with how much water you use. So I'm using a water brush and I'm dipping it in water. I'm not filling the brush full of water because it just dribbles out way too much water for my liking when I'm working on top of acrylic paint. So I'm using a metallic gold, glittery. It's color shifting a little bit, but I'm just putting it in certain areas of the daisy in the center. And then I'm going to put some green. See, too much water. Too much water. I don't want it running down the rock. So I am just brushing upwards and not having too much water on my brush so it doesn't run down. And I find myself blowing on the paint a lot when it comes to watercolor because it helps it dry quickly and it kind of keeps it where it's supposed to be. So yeah, I sometimes hyperventilate while using watercolors. But yeah, I'm just making a little sparkly. You can do acrylic paints that have glitter in them for the leaves if you want. Or you can look past in my past tutorials where I'm using nail powders and chrome powders, which is basically the same thing, but it's loose powder. It's not turned into a paint like the watercolors have been. And so you can wipe that loose powder, the chromy, glittery nail powders. You can actually rub them onto the acrylic paint and then use like triple thick or Mod Podge to hold that glitter in place. And it does the same thing that this watercolor does. So I'm using it's a strange watercolor that I've created here. When you shift it one way, there's pink glitter. And when you shift it the other way, it's blue. And the blue looks really nice on the daisies. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. It's gonna be a lot nicer once it's been sealed with resin. Right now, that watercolor on top of the petals isn't really that noticeable. But I promise we're gonna show you the resin portion very soon. I did separate my leaves by outlining them in a fine line of black. If you go too thick with the black, just get your green back out and fix it. Once your black is dry. And I'm now doing a very thin line of gold. My goodness, you can hear my cat Maple. She is yelling and yelling. So if you can hear her, I apologize. She is fixed, by the way. But this is how she calls for, I believe she's calling my husband. I think she's obsessed with my husband and has been ever since we got her. And he can't go in the bathroom without bringing her in there because if you leave her out, she's going to make the whole house upset with her because she's yelling just like she is right now. And the funny thing is that he's at work and she might do this all day calling him. Now I'm going to let you see some of my past artwork. These are some things from 7 years ago. This is what my dotted artwork and my dragonflies, my dotted dragonflies, that's what they all used to look like. I'm letting my daisies resin right now. You're going to see them in a minute. These are some mandalas from 2015, or mandala, however you like to say it. There's some dotted butterflies. You know, this is to show you. I always say it at the end of each one of my videos, you guys. Just keep painting. Keep painting. Keep chasing your dreams, and this happens. If you just keep going, there's no way you're not going to progress. So my rocks have changed in 7 years, and my tutorials have changed. You can see that I've progressed. Sometimes I need a reminder, you know. Sometimes I do need to see that I've gotten better. As long as I'm still inspiring you, just keep painting, you guys. There's no stopping you. There's no way you're not going to get better if you're not putting that paintbrush down, or that guitar, or whatever it is that you're trying to get better at. No matter what, you're going to get better. Just keep going. So I try to let you guys know at the end of every video to keep painting. So there's a reason. There's a reason. Well, here it is, all glossy, all covered in resin. It's been sleeping for about 12 hours in order for that resin to not be icky, sticky, and ooey and gooey. And so that I don't leave my fingerprints all over it while I'm admiring it, of course. But this is it. This is how it looks. The lighting is terrible, but it actually looks really beautiful. It sparkles in all the right places. Look at how dark that stone got. I'm going to take a still picture here so that you guys can take a look at it while it's still. I love you guys. Thank you so much for waiting for this daisy tutorial to come out. It's been ready for a while. I just haven't had the time to edit. But I appreciate all you April babies for waiting for your daisies. Happy birthday to you all. I will see you again very, very soon. Bye, guys. Keep painting.